This is where I'm at, you know what I mean?
Was that like locked?
From that day on, I always had a knife. I always had access to a knife.
Right.
I'd sit in you go on lockdown a lot in Hazelton. Constantly stabbings, like, you know what I mean? There was a couple bodies while I was there.
Investigators now say Geas is one of 2 inmates who beat Whitey Bulger to death yesterday morning, less than 24 hours after the aging mobster was transferred to the Hazelton Federal Pen in West Virginia.
I go out, Mark comes over, he goes, "What are we doing?" I go, "Listen, I'm gonna go rob a bank in downtown. I just need you to hold a cab." I was using cabs in the beginning when I started doing it.
Yeah.
I had to literally talk this girl down. Like, she started hyperventilating. She was like a young black girl. She's probably never been robbed before, maybe just started working at the bank.
Yeah.
And I hit her with the note and she reads it and, like, you know, she just starts like shaking and like hyper. And I'm like, "Listen, you gotta calm down and just do what that says. Just start giving me the money."
Right.
So boom, she started hitting me with the money. And I ended up walking out of that bank. It was crazy. Like, she was giving me money from like the bottom drawer. So I ended up walking out of there with a good like 12,500, something like that, 14,000, something like that. And I was hooked.
Welcome back to the W Number, guys. Man, I got a great story here today. My boy Billy, bro, really powerful story, bro. His whole story, you know, from the roots where we are today at D Street Projects to the craziest places in Boston. Matter of fact, D Street's probably one of the toughest places in Boston, if I had to say. Fact, right? But, you know, what does this place mean to you? And just introduce yourself real quick, bro.
My name is Billy Coleman. I go by Billy the Kid 617 on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. You can reach out to me there. To me, my dad was murdered here. I was 3 years old, 1981. My sister was just born, so he was over here. From what I know, like, obviously I wasn't there, so everything I've ever heard and been told, and you know, he was over here with a few friends. They're drinking, partying, whatever. Some dude shows up, shoots him, shotgun, 12-gauge shotgun. Wow. Boom. I've heard rumors, but nothing ever true, you know? You know, them buildings that are there, them colored buildings, like, it was all bricks, like old bricks. There was nothing, you know what I mean?
It's cool, I like it. You can see the cityscape in the background.
It's awesome. So that route, so I lived like straight ahead, right over that where that green building is. Like right out, that's my back court, right? That's where I lived at one time when I was like a teen.
All right, man, so explain this little area we're at right now, man. This little courtyard. I see a playground back here and some different colored buildings. Kind of reminds me of like Ireland or something almost.
Right, yeah, a little bit. So none of this stuff was here when I was a kid. Like, that was just brick buildings, old brick buildings. It was actually, so the whole bottom part was an abandoned building. Wow. No one lived there, it was boarded up. We used to break in there all the time, go hide out. There was like a breakthrough wall. You could get to every, you know, the whole side of it. Yeah. And like, it was crazy. The teen center was right here. That was the teen center, actually. We used to, like, this was the hangout court, bro.
So like the teen center as in like a little place where everybody goes and plays.
So on the 3rd floor, right, it was just really a project apartment. Wow. And that was our teen center. We had a pool table in the first room. We had like a ping pong table in another room. You know what I mean? And that was it. But everybody hung out up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just hung out down there. Like, everyone, you know, on Friday and Saturday nights, everyone's going out drinking. This is where we are. Like, my mother's up here. You know what I mean? I lived right here, as a matter of fact. And we had a 2-story apartment. It was beautiful, actually, for a project apartment. We had a dining room, a kitchen, the living room, upstairs and down, like washer and dryer room in the little bathroom, like a little cut you could go in, like this room. It was crazy. Biggest room. And we had my mother would never give me the back room. It was the biggest room. I wanted it because it had a door to go to the hallway, so you could slip in and out. And she's like, "Yeah, that's not happening."
So would you say these are like some of your earliest memories in here?
Definitely. I mean, I moved here when I was 11. My grandmother got a transfer because she had gotten sick, and she ended up with a brain aneurysm. Wow. So my mother had moved in with us. My grandmother raised me up until that time, right? And but yeah, my mother moved in with us, her and her husband, who you know, I didn't really. We'll get into that as I got some stuff to tell you, but
I heard you did, like, I know that we've talked about some stories and things that you've been through in this little apartment here. Talk about that story with your was it, you say, your little nephew or your little brother that got burnt? My brother. So my brother, man, he might get a little upset. I don't know if he cared about whatever. He'll get over it. Nah, he was just a baby. We lived here. My grandmother had already died, and they let my mother keep the apartment. And so, you know, it was me, my sister,
my two sisters and my brother at this time.
Yeah.
You know, and my mother and her husband.
Yeah.
And so I guess her husband was giving him a bath in the sink. It turned scalding hot, or I don't know if he purposely did it. I don't know truthfully what happened at that point, but there was different accusations and different stories, right? But the end result was that my brother ended up with 3rd-degree burns all down his face and like his body and stuff. And they rushed him to the hospital, whatever. He's in the hospital now, and like my mother caught wind of it. So like obviously DSS got involved. This was the last time we were taken out of a foster home. I mean, taken out of our home and put into a foster home. Was because of that. DSS showed up, took me, my sister Courtney, and my sister Diane was just little. Took all 3 of us, and they brought us to this foster home. Yeah, he was in the hospital, man, and my mother caught wind of it that the Department of Social Services was actually like helping this doctor. So this doctor and his wife, I guess, I don't know, they couldn't have kids or whatever, they were trying to adopt.
Right.
So they tried to adopt my brother without my mother's consent or knowledge. Like DSS was like going behind her back working with these people. They were literally trying to steal my brother.
Wow.
My mother had to go to court and fight for this.
Damn.
And it was all, it was a huge story in the paper back then. This was like, my brother was born in, I was 78, I think it's 88, he was 89. So this is like 89. And they were calling him Andy because he was underage. They couldn't put his real name out there, right?
Right.
So it was Baby Andy is what his name was. Yeah, you know, my mother won that, obviously, and she ended up getting him back. But that was just crazy. Like I had a very traumatic upbringing, right? Lots of traumas, lots of like difficulties, went through a ton of stuff. And what I have, it was scattered with like super good memories, right? That I cherish and hold on to.
Right.
You know, times where like, you know, my mother, like where she wasn't, you know, she wasn't in active alcoholism or active drug use, you know, other than her perks. She's been taking perks since she was a kid. She was never going to stop. But I was okay with it. She was happy and I loved it. You know what I mean? Like she was fun. And she was like my mother, you know. Yeah, she was like a little kid though. You know, she's 4'11", little tiny thing. And she was just like a kid, man. She would come out, get all the girls in the neighborhood, have them come in the house, fill up water balloons, come blast all the boys, let them run and hide. You know, stuff like that. Like I remember all that sneaking out. I remember climbing a bathroom window up here. That was my bathroom window on the 2nd floor, and that's how I used to sneak out at night. So. Because I never used the door, because I'm like, my mother comes down, sees it unlocked, I'm hit, you know what I mean? Can't get back in. So I'm like, and I could just fit out that window. You know, I had to climb out backwards and I'd hang down. I could just reach the pole, and that's how I get down. Remember one time, I slipped. My mother used to have tomato plants there with these spikes coming up. And I slipped. My grip got off and I fell straight down. Thank God on my feet. And that thing stopped like right before my chin, man. But
so let's talk about the foster system and getting wrapped up in that. So how did you get involved in the foster system in the first place? What was the first thing that happened?
So when we were really little, is when we started going to the foster care system. Me and my sister Courtney. You know, Diane and Gary weren't even born yet. Courtney's 3 years younger than me. So we went through everything together. Like we went through all of the trauma together. My mother, like, you know, like I said, my mother she was tough, you know what I mean? Always beating people up, getting in a fight. She was wild. And she would like get into an argument with the neighbor and she would beat up the lady, whoever it was or whatever. And they would go call DSS and be like, hey, she's beating her kids. And the wild thing is, like at that time, I remember like my DSS worker, her family's from this project. Like she knew, like it was crazy. Like, and then, so she would come in, sit us down. They'd come in with the police, right? They'd sit us down and say, you know, does your mother hit you, blah, blah, blah. And we'd say, no, my mother never hit me.
Trying to insinuate it, right? It's almost like they wanted to be like that so they could take you.
Right?
It's crazy, right? They try to do it to me too.
They manipulate, right? But it was even as a kid, like I always seen through this stuff, and I always, because like I had to be, like I said, my dad would, you know, he was murdered when I was 3 years old. So growing up, like I was the protector of my sisters, of my mother, like with all her different abusive men. You know what I mean? Once I got to an age where I remember chasing guys out of this house at 12 years old with hockey sticks because my mother's throwing a wild party and my brothers and sisters are sleeping upstairs. You know what I mean? And like stuff like that. So they would say she was hitting us. We'd say no. You know what I mean? No, it's not happening.
And where were you when they would ask you these things?
In the apartment, they'd bring us right in the kitchen, sit us down at the table, you know, make it nice and cozy. And, and you know, and she'd be all friendly. And I would ask every time I would ask, you know, are you going to take us away this time? Are you going to take us away? And she would look me dead in the face and say, no, we're not taking you away. And it wouldn't be an hour before they're back, cops are with them, and they're pulling us out of our house.
Damn.
Like,
what did that make you feel like when the cops are taking you away like that?
Terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified. I'm a little kid. I'm trying to protect my little sister. I see these dudes grabbing my sister. Like, I'm fighting to get to her. And like, they're telling me they're taking me here and they're taking her there. And I'm like, no. Ever since from day one, the first time they ever took us out, they would like threaten to split us up. Or they would tell us they're gonna split us up, and I would threaten them. If you split us up, I'm gonna run from every house you put me in. Like, I'm gonna be a problem. If you keep us together, I won't run, I'll stay.
When you're going to these foster programs, right? Do you have like people that are like mothers and fathers, or are they more like program instructors, or what are they like?
Hell no.
What are these places like?
The crazy thing is, like, back then, the racial tensions in Boston were so high, right?
Yeah.
You had busing and all that had happened, right? And they're trying to integrate neighborhoods and schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the racial tensions are super high. Black, white, like everyone hates each other. It's crazy. So as a little kid, I don't know any better, right? So I've only been around my little world, my neighborhood, all white, Irish Catholics, some Italians. You know what I mean? My dad was Italian. But like, so then they take me and they would put every time, for some reason, I don't know why, but me and my sister would go to either a black foster home or a Spanish foster home. Never white. Never, ever.
And was there such thing as a white foster home?
We were in like three, 4 different foster homes that I remember, and like it was never white, no white kids. We were the only white kids in the house at all times.
Yeah, and was there actually a white foster home? Did you know of any?
I'm sure there are tons of them, because we ended up in a white foster home for one night when the whole situation with my brother.
Yeah, I'm sure if they put you in a white section of, yeah, right, you're right, because they got to be out there, you know what I mean? There's got to be.
Of course they are. There was tons of people that were fostering, but the problem was they weren't doing no background checks on nobody either. Like, it was widely unchecked. You know what I mean? Like, or they were just looking the other way, or half-assed doing their job. But like, these people that were fostering kids, like, I remember. So, like, I went through some of the worst traumas in my life. Yeah. In these foster homes.
Well, speak about some of them.
So, like, I remember being in this one foster home, this black foster home, and this lady, like, she was just an evil lady. You know what I mean? Right. And, like, she had tons of foster kids. And, like, she's just getting checks for these people. And, whether she got high or not, I don't know. I was young. But I do know that she was an evil lady. Right. And she liked to do things to kids that she shouldn't do. Right. You know what I mean? The first time I ever even spoke about any of this was probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
You don't have to talk about it.
Nah, I'm okay with it, though, because I think that, it needs to be said. It's just so tough because, like I said, I never said it to nobody, ever. I just took it, and a lot of times I would take it so my sister didn't have to, because she was just little, But, yeah. But, yeah, that was so, stuff like that would happen. And I remember being in one home, and again, another black foster home, and it was just like 2 of the kids, I think, were their kids. I don't really remember the parents much. Like, they weren't around like that, but the dad, I believe, was a carpenter, because I remember, like, always bundles of, like, 2x4s and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I just assumed like that he must have been a carpenter. I didn't think it back then, but now thinking back, right? Right. But I remember, like, I used to get into fights every day in this house. I'm the only white, me and my sister, only 2 white kids. You know what I mean? I'm the only boy. There's mad boys in the house, all black kids. Right. Some my age, some older. When I went in the room, like, we all slept in the set. Like, it was a bunch of us in one room. It was a big room, but there was a bunch of us in there. I slept on the floor, like in a blanket. I remember a couple other kids sleeping on the floor. It was like going into the Thunderdome every night. And I know I'm getting jumped every night. The second I start getting the better of one of these kids, it's over. They all jumping in. And I got jumped so many times in there. And I remember one day just walking down that hallway, and I hear my sister crying. And I hear, and then boom, I hear the tumbling, and she comes down the stairs, and I hear the kid, telling the other kid to jump down on her. And this kid's getting ready to jump down, and I remember just grabbing one of these 2x4s, and he jumped down the stairs, and I came around the corner and caught him in midair and flipped this kid, and he landed on the stairs, and I grabbed my sister, and it was like a stampede coming down. And I grabbed my sister, and we ran into the bathroom. I took her in the bathroom, I locked the door. They was trying to get in there. I had to stay in there. It's all I don't know how long, but until the mother came home or something, and cleared them all out and blah, blah, blah. But I got the brakes beat off of me that night. And I went to see my grandmother the next day, like big black eye. And, my grandmother's like, what's going on? And I'm like, man, I'm fighting her every day. And she was struggling. She was trying to get me out of the system, right? And they were fighting her on it. She had to go to court for it and everything. But so they moved me. She got on it, you know what I mean? And they actually moved us from that house. They put us in a Spanish foster home, like out in the sticks somewhere. They never tell you where you're going. Right. Because they don't want you to be able to contact your family or whatever, Being
upstate.
Right, exactly. It's your secret, like just to get you out of here, And like, but I remember like they were out, it had to be like Western Mass or something like that. Because I just remember like the woods and the sticks. And I remember like I was horrified. So we went to a farm. Now, 2 little white project kids. Yeah. I'm used to like Mr. Purdue making my chicken and putting it in the supermarket. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen a live animal get killed. Nothing like that. Yeah. So, and now we're young. Right. This is horrifying for a kid to see for the first time and not understand why it's happening. Yeah. And then be told it's dinner. You know what I mean? So they go get a live chicken. They bring it home. This dude, nothing, like heads up. Hey, this is what. He just threw this thing on the table, grabbed the bowl, chopped its head off, drained the blood, like right in front of us. And I was like, what the? And I grabbed a bunch of fruit, and I grabbed my sister, and we went upstairs, and that's what we ate. And when I went back to visit my grandmother, I said, Nana, they're killing animals in this house. Right? And my grandmother was like, what? And I was like, they're killing animals. He cut a chicken's head off. And my grandma was like, man, so they got us out of there quick. And my grandmother went nuts on them, like, you're horrifying these kids. And so then she ended up getting us.
It kind of makes you think like they got to be really careful what you do in front of kids because you never know what's going to affect them and how it's going to affect them. You know what I mean?
And like kids are impressionable. When you're young, we're like sponges. They're soaking all that up.
And they got all these people.
You might not think they're paying attention, but they are.
Yeah, they got all these people that don't know what the hell they're doing, taking kids in just to get the extra money and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's a mess.
So you end up with troubled kids, right? Yeah. I was 3 when my dad was killed. I want to say I was living over this way, like right across from where Burger King is. I was living actually over here, right near the church. There's a big church in the middle. I was right on the next side. I lived on the 2nd floor, right up there. That's where I had this memory of him, when like him and me being a little kid and like rolling a ball back and forth down the thing. But like to this day, like I can't confirm that memory. My dad's gone, my mom's gone. Like there's no one to confirm that for me, and I honestly don't know if it's true. I don't know if I ever met him. I don't know. You know what I mean? I was 3 years old. Right. But yeah, I had that one memory of him, and that's the only time I ever I never even really thought of that actually till I was a little older. You know what I mean? Like probably like 12, who just want somebody to be there when they say they're gonna be there, do the right thing for them, and genuinely love them. Like that's it. That's all they want. You know what I mean? And as a troubled kid, I know this because that's all I wanted growing up. I just my grandmother was that for me. You know what I mean? She was my world. And Nana she made me go to Sunday school. I hated it. She made me go to Sunday school, made me go to church every Sunday. You know what I mean? And all that, but I did it because I knew it was important to her. Right. Even though I didn't really understand it, and from a little, I have my own relationship with God. You know what I mean, and what I believe in, and all that stuff. Right? I just don't like any religion in general. I just don't like getting involved with because I feel like it's been rewritten and rewritten. Right.
It's of human nature, you know what I mean? It's human made kind of, whereas spirituality in general, I feel like Christianity at its core is just spirituality, just being connected to Jesus and, his sacrifice and the blood he shed for us and our sins, But,
absolutely. Or just, even whatever, just being connected with something you believe in, because there's definitely something higher than us.
So I kind of want to get into your time in South Bay. So the first time that you ended up behind us, which is South Bay, this is the South Bay Correctional Facility, or House of Corrections. It's a county jail, you know what I mean? But it's a tough one, right? It's
very
one that,
especially when I was there, at the time that I was there. I haven't been in a long time, but
the minority population's heavy in there, right?
Absolutely.
It's mostly black and Spanish.
Absolutely.
And it's gang.
All gangs, neighborhood gangs, tight-knit gangs. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So what was it like for you being a white guy going in there? What age were you when you first went in there?
I was 18 going on 19. When I first went there, that was just for 30 days. The judge was to teach me a lesson, right? I had been in front of them so many times and since I had turned 17. Yeah. They started getting sick of me, you know what I mean? Right. And So the 30 days, like I really only, that bit there, I really only see Newman, but just in Newman, it's like I had told you, I think prior to this, like, so that's when I seen the dude get ripped out of his bunk by the CO. Yeah. And I remember like the next morning, the doors, like cops cracking the doors and like screaming, get up, make your beds, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the hell? I get up and I come out and look, and some dude was like, nah, I'm not getting up. Like I'm in bed sleeping. Yeah. And this cop dragged him from the top bunk, ripped him out, dropped him, and then dragged him down the stairs and out. And I was like, what the? You didn't want to get up, you know, when they cracked the doors and said it's time to get up.
Yeah.
And like that was what I seen, like, and I didn't get any further than that. You know what I mean? And but that was like eye-opening to like, what am I coming into? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the whole booking process, like South Bay was crazy. Like South Bay was gladiator school for sure. I was there. It had just flipped over like a couple years before that from the old Deer Island.
Yeah.
So you still had some people there like that were in that mindset. You know what I mean? Which, from what I hear, the old Deer Island was crazy.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you go in a booking and you got to put your back against the wall. Like they put you in a room just packed with people and everyone's looking, and like dudes are getting their sneakers taken in there. You know what I mean? It's like dudes are just preying on people. Being thrown in the tank and you're one of only maybe 2-3 white guys at the time, and the tank's filled with probably like, you know, 50, 60 people. Like they're stuffed in there like sardines sometimes.
And so how old were you when you were in that tank for the first time again?
I was 18.
18 years old.
Young kid, you know, and there's a lot of older dudes, and like there was a lot of guys that, because it used to be the old Deer Island, which from what I was told, the story told, like was super wild.
Right.
And so these guys, a lot of them were still there when they switched over.
That was a different era of
a very different
criminals,
era.
You know what I mean?
Very different era.
And what was your era of criminals like? What was it like in there?
I mean, it was crazy. It was people in there for everything, like larcenies, assault and batteries, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. At that time, a lot of civil rights cases. Wow. Like a lot of my friends caught civil rights cases just for getting into fights with black kids or Spanish kids. And you know, the second the cop showed up, like, oh, you know, he used a racial slur.
Wow.
And that was it. Like you were getting a civil rights charge, and that's just the way it was. It was just.
And how much time would someone get for like a civil rights charge?
So like it depended. Like at that age, like most of them were getting usually the max, like a 2.5 year bid. Some of them, like you could, because 2.5 years was the max you could do in the county, unless you got an on and after sentence, which means you do this sentence and then you start a brand new sentence, and they could give you like a deuce and a half with a deuce and a half on top. So you end up doing 5 years. I met a few dudes that did 5 years, which is like hats off to them. Yeah, hats off to them. 5 years in the county jail is.
And that's for like, it's just a racial slur.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he got into a regular fist fight like two young kids.
I don't mean to downplay
not at all.
slur at all.
But like that's the
that
thing.
makes a human being feel like less than a human being. You know what I mean?
100%.
But it's like that's what it does. You know, that's not worth a prison sentence to me. I feel like it's worth a beating. Maybe the person gets to fight that person or something, and maybe different type of justice.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. But it's like, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's in some instances they were using racial slurs.
Yeah.
But there was also somewhere like it was just a legit. Kids having fights, like when you were young, you had a street
when we grow
fight.
up like that. It's like
that's how we grew up. You fought with
it's
your
the
hands.
vernacular.
We weren't shooting each other and doing all that stuff when we were kids. Like when I was a kid, you know, in like the 80s and 90s and stuff, like you were fighting with your hands. Everyone just fought, you know?
Right.
And like even in South, like we fought against, like we fought Oconee kids, we fought Point kids, you know what I mean? Like it was, everybody was like clannish, like to themselves.
And what year was it that you started doing time here again? The year?
The year was 1998.
I'm just wondering if the racial tension in that facility and in the city in general was still kind of influenced by that whole era of Whitey Bulger and busting and all that shit, you know?
Absolutely. Like racial tension stayed high, you know, even though like, so for me personally, right, and anybody that knows me and is being honest will tell you this, like I was never that kid that, like in the Condon school, one of my best friends was Edson Da Silva. He's a Cape Verdean kid who I actually just reconnected again with recently, which is pretty wild, you know what I mean? And like this kid, like I stayed over his house when I was a kid. Like he would ride his bike down to my house, and I'm like, Edson, what are you doing? Like coming down here by yourself? Like you can't do that, you know what I mean? But like, and like this kid Aubin's Haitian kid grew up on my projects. He was one of my best friends.
Right.
They had videotapes of me at birthday parties. It's all white kids, and you see just this one Haitian, like dark as could be in the middle, big smile. You know what I mean? Like, so like I just was never really like that.
Yeah.
I
Everybody
didn't care who
grows
you
up
were.
different with different influences, man. The thing is, like, we gotta just, you know, accept people for who they are, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, stop being so picky and judgmental, bro.
Right.
Like, because this dude didn't know, you know, your culture or something like that. Teach him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Show him what it is, bro. Don't be so. If you react negatively or anger towards somebody about it, then you instantly turn them off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Rather than being like, you know, friend, let me show you a little something about my fucking culture. Let me show you a little, like, how we do
100%.
it. You know what I mean?
Learn about each other. Like,
Word, bro.
together we're always stronger, right? And don't get me wrong, like I was, you know, young and naive too at a point, you know, and I grew up hearing all this stuff, you know what I mean? Hearing like black people were bad people, and you know what I mean? Like, so, and there was a time in my young life, like in the projects where, so when they first started integrating the projects, right, which was in the 90s, and that's, you know, they were like white people that were applying for housing were getting sent to like Roxbury and Dorchester, and blacks and Spanish were getting sent to Southie and Charlestown, stuff like that.
Yeah. They definitely do it on purpose.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's like, it was just like forced on, and that, you know what I mean? And
I see it even in the neighborhoods of my neighborhood, in general, in Southie. You see on one street of the projects, it's all black, and on my street, it's like white and Spanish.
Right.
You know what I mean? They have different sections.
But yeah,
and
it's
they
like
do it on purpose. They
separate you
house
that way
specifically,
to keep you apart. And I mean, that's what they want.
Yeah,
Division is everything to a system. You know
and
what I
then
mean?
when you get inside of a place like this, you see the division on the street in the city.
It carries over.
And it comes right into the prison system, but it's in a lot more, you know, then you got prison politics with that, you know, already ingrained.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's funny because like when we fast forward, like I won't get into it now, but when we do get into it, like I'll tell you about like some of the politics that I like blatantly broke. You know what I mean? Like, and just was like, this is me. This is who I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you some good stories about that, you know, in a different prison. But
absolutely, and even just touching on that too, right now, I've seen some of the toughest guys, right? They go against the grain sometimes with like who they chill with. Like, they just, you know, it could be a black dude or something, be their best friend or something, and they're always breaking bread with them, and they'll be such a dog, like no one says nothing to them. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's, you know, the way just the way I've carried myself my whole life. Like I treat people with respect because I want you to treat me with respect, and I won't take anything less. You know what I mean?
Fact.
So I just stand on my 2 feet like a man, right? And people respect that, right? So to be honest, like a lot of times in my prison life, like I didn't have to really fight just because I had fought here or there, or someone knew me from here, and like, you know, and my reputation was good enough to where they were like, hey, he's a stand-up guy, he's got heart, he will fight. Like not that I'm the toughest guy in the world, that I can beat everyone, because I can't, you know what I mean? Like, no one's the toughest. There's always gonna be someone tougher, right? But I can handle myself, and I will, and that's the biggest part, right? Is because nobody wants to, you know, most guys in prison want to end up like preying on someone who's not really gonna fight back. You know what I mean? And you know, and whether they're strong arm, and you know what I mean, which happens all the time in South Bay, right? Dudes getting strong armed and stuff like that, like for their canteen, taking, like, it's crazy. But when you fight, even whether you can win or not, like I got a friend who, I won't say his name, but he just never could win a fight. But he would fight.
Had the heart of a lion.
And he wouldn't stop. You know what I mean? You had to beat him to death, or unconscious.
I know a few people like that.
So people, the dudes would get tired of that. Like, nah, this dude's crazy, man. Like, you know what I mean?
And I found like a lot of times counties like the place where everybody tries to make their name, knowing that someday their reputation or their career is gonna end them upstate. You know what I mean? Their criminal career is gonna end them in the feds or upstate. So they come into their county, and this is where they make their reputation and make their name. And a lot of times they don't know what prison politics really are, or how to move in prison, so they do it in a fucked up way. You know what I mean? And so you get a really mixed bag when you're coming into these counties, dude, right? You got the younger crowd, then you got like the older dudes who've been around forever that, you know, few and far between in there, you know what I mean? Probably, right? And then you got the middle-aged kids that have, you know, been around but never been upstate. You know what I mean?
Right.
But are good dudes, bro.
Yeah.
And you know they got it in them like good dudes,
Right.
bro.
Absolutely.
And then you got the dudes that been upstate mixed in with them.
Yep.
And have already done them the upstate time and shit. And they teach you how to move and shit. And that's the guy showing you how to do things and shit. You know what I mean?
That's the guy teaching you how he's teaching you how to save your life.
Right.
Really, is what
Absolutely,
he's doing.
bro.
You know what I mean? And how to be a man in there and just do your time and.
Yeah,
you know
yo, let me bring you back a little bit too, because I think it's super interesting. You were a bank robber.
Right.
And you were bank robbing out here in the streets of Boston, right?
Yes, that was like my playground downtown.
So what were you doing? What was the whole process for you with this robbing banks? Were you addicted to the whole thing?
So like it started initially, obviously, like I was getting high. You know what I mean? I started getting high. You know, I experimented with stuff growing up, pills and this, that, the other thing, you know, ecstasy and all that stuff. And but then one night, actually it was like it was my 19th birthday. My boy down the projects, you know, I walk in, he threw me a keg party at his house.
Yeah.
At his apartment project, we go there, like, it was a blast, man. It was there, you know, I'm drinking, have a good time. I go up in his room, I walk in, and he's got a pile on the CD.
Yeah.
And I know immediately, I'm like, that's not coke. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it's dope. And now I knew nothing about it at the time. It had just hit our neighborhood, you know what I mean? And all my friends were getting addicted. I was like one of the last ones to do it.
What year was that?
This was 97. We had just lost a bunch of friends, about 8 kids from the neighborhood, all to suicide and overdoses, maybe even more than that. My best friend, God rest his soul, Tommy Mullen, you know, hung
I remember you
on the
talking
project.
about that. Yeah, that was a big thing, man.
Yeah, that was like, he was like my little brother, bro. Like he lived at my Aunt Elena's with me. Like he was the one I told you we used to be on the roof smoking joints, you know, and he was 3 years younger than me, but he acted older than he was, like, and you know what I mean? And he was a tough kid, right? He had this crazy haymaker. But if he connected with you, oh my God, you know what I mean? And he looked like the Lemonhead, like the dude on the Lemonhead box.
Yeah.
Like that, he had this huge smile that lit up a room with all the freckles, big round face, you know what I mean? And he looked just like him. And so we used to call him Lemonhead. He hated it.
Yeah.
And we used to call it the melon ball punch. He got that melon ball punch. He used to be sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like my brother. Like, so they found him hanging in a hallway in D Street in 1997. Man, that was a tough year.
Right.
And I had gotten in. Well, I'll get into that after. Actually, it kind of got me into like community activism. Right. And I had organized a group with some friends and a guy named Michael Patrick McDonald, who wrote the book All Souls. You know, there's mixed feelings about the guy. Yeah. Because of his book. I happen to like the guy. He did a lot for me. So I have, you know what I mean? I love the guy. He definitely did a lot for me.
Those books are iconic Boston books.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy grew up in Old Colony.
Right.
And he came, Irish immigrants and shit like that. And, had that, typical Irish.
And he didn't say nothing that wasn't known. Really.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, whatever. But that's personal opinion, you know? But yeah, right.
Great book.
So he actually says, I'm in the acknowledgements of that book.
Yeah.
He says, thanks to me and a few my other friends that, we all got together and formed that group.
Yeah.
And he, thanks to my younger brother and sisters, and he names us all.
It's kind of cool because it kind of shows who you were as a person back then too. You're trying to help people out and do the right thing for
them. And it was right at that time is when, like, the suicide, especially with Tommy, like, that was tough. Like, when I heard about that, so Tommy and I had kind of a falling out. So I told a lot of my friends from the projects, they never wanted to leave the projects, right? Everything, the world was in the projects.
Yeah.
I like to venture out, you know what I mean? And we came up a lot to the point actually up here where we are right now, the Dorchester Heights.
Right.
Up in this area. We came up here a lot, and like a lot of the point kids would get mad. Like the project kids would come up here, all the girls would want to hook up with us. You know what I mean? And
trying to steal the girl.
So we'd be bringing them down to the project, have them hanging down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I moved up here. That's what it was. I moved up here. My mother moved to Florida, right? Her husband at the time, like, he was super abusive to my mother. Like, I seen he left her for dead in a bathtub. We were little kids in Charlestown, actually. We lived in Bunker Hill for a short time, waiting for an apartment over in Southie.
Right.
And some old lady next door, thank God, if she was alive today, I would find her and give her a kiss and a hug. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she saved my mother's life.
Yeah.
He left her drowned in a bathtub. Like, I seen her bloodied and battered until I was old enough to kind of start correcting things, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so she splits up, like, I ended up moving back I get into a fight with my uncle, protecting my little cousin. You know what I mean? My uncle was drunk, come in drunk, acting stupid. And my cousin like just was like, leave me alone, girl. I'm trying to go to bed. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right. I tell my boy, Tommy was alive at the time. I'm like, we were in the back smoking a blunt, as a matter of fact, in my room. And I tell Tommy, like, hey, stay in the room real quick, man. I'm gonna go take care of this. So I go walk out, and I purposely, like, I walk by my uncle and I shoulder him to get his attention. And he's just drunk, you know what I mean? And he gets violent when he's drinking, you know what I mean? So I'm like, now I got his attention. And I walk into the dining room, and he's like, what's your problem? Bye-bye. And I'm like, Uncle John, just go to bed. You know what I mean? Just go to bed, bro. You're drunk. And he just started going crazy, and he, like, grabbed my neck. And I remember, like, I just ran him across the living room, like, I slammed him on the couch. I held him down. I was like, just go to bed. And then I was like, you know what? I just got so aggravated. I'm like, come outside. You know what I mean? And we went outside, and like, he just kept trying to like run at me and tackle me. And I kept reaching over and just flipping him and letting him drop. Boom. And then like, he'd keep getting up. I'm like, Uncle John, just stay down. And I remember like the third time he went to get up, and I just said, man, you got to stay down, buddy. And I kicked him, boom, kicked him on the side of the head, and he went over. But he got back up, and he ran to the house. And he comes running back out with a butcher knife. And I run, but I'm running backwards so I can keep my eyes on him, because he will stab me in that state, you know? And I'm like, oh, so he whipped the knife at me. He couldn't catch me. And then I remember I looked down, I seen it, and I was like, oh no. I picked it up, and he was like, his eyes got big. He ran back to the house, like chasing the house. And he locked me out, boom. And it was like 6 in the morning. I went back to my mother's. She was in the parlor having coffee. I'm like, Ma, I gotta move back in. You know what I mean? Like, I was living over there next door with my uncle and my aunt. And my mother's like, what happened? I had a scratch on my face. And I'm like, I just got into it. I beat up John. I got to move in. She's like, all right, whatever. So I'm like, listen, I'm going to go to Geas to get my GED at City Roots, because I had just quit Southie High too. So my mother's like, all right, cool. So I remember that night, like, I go upstairs and I'm getting dressed. I'm dressed to go to the bed. And me and my brother shared a room. We had bunk beds. And her husband walks by and he looks in the room. He sees me. And I'm 16. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I go, I live here, dude. And he's like, oh, if you're going to live under my roof, like, you're going to get a job. And I'm like, first of all, it's my roof. Second of all, I go to school. I'm not doing nothing. And he took a swing at me. And I slipped it, and he hit the wall. Boom! It made a loud sound. And my mother come running up. And I remember she was like, you know, what happened? I was just like, nothing, Mom. And then he was like, if he don't go, I'm out of here. Either he goes or I go. And it was like the first time that my mother ever took my side over a man. You know what I mean? Like, because she just was in an abusive relationship after abusive relationship and felt she needed these guys, right? And I never understood it, you know? But yeah, she took my side, man, first time. She was like, that's my son. Like, you don't like it, get out. And he left. He took off. You know, my mother got a little loose at that time. You know, she started getting high again and drinking and inviting people. And I was constantly kicking people out, fighting guys in my house to get them out. You know what I mean?
Getting to your bank robberies and shit like that. Like,
so I started, all right, so I get high. I go in my boy's room. I'm sorry, I was telling you, I go in my boy's room. He's got the pilot. And I'm like, let me get a line. And he's like, nah. He's like, I'm not going to be the first one to give it to you. And I'm like, come on, dude. Like, stop playing. And he's like, this is my best friend. Like, we do everything together. It's like my brother, dude. One of my other, like, best friends, right? And this is after Tommy died. Like, it was just me and him there. Like, and he's like, listen, man, I got to go. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And whatever you do, you do. All right. Then he goes to the bathroom. I do the line. You know what I mean? And he comes back, and I'm out, like, laid on the bed, like. And now I don't know the consequences of continuing to do it. I don't know about dope sick. I don't know none of that. To me, I'm just having fun. You know what I mean? I just turned 19. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just having fun. And so I get high for like 3-4 days. And then I remember waking up, man, that next day and just felt horrible, right? Just horrible sickness. And I remember he called me and was like, hey, like, I just got this new weed. You want to come try it? And I'm like, nah. I'm like, bro, I got the flu. Like, I don't know what it is. You know, when he started laughing, and then, like, I guess there was this term they used to use, like, back in the day. I didn't use it, but they did use it. And he was like, nah, bro, you got the Puerto Rican flu. Because they were, like, known for selling dope to dudes, right? So I'm like, what? And he's like, bro, just come over here. Like, I got the only cure in town. And I'm like, all right, dude, I'm on my way. And he lived, like, right across the way. I had to go through my parking lot over, you know what I mean, across the street. And there he is. So I go over, and I go up there, and he gives me a bag of dope. He's like, hey, do that. And I snort it. And boom, instantly I felt good. Like, I felt fine. And I was like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, so that was the downfall. Like, I had so much potential you know, when I was doing the community activism, like I ended up with a job at City Hall for City Council at Large, Peggy Davis Mullen. I was one of her administrative aides. You know what I mean? Because she jumped on our bandwagon. We were organizing marches to City Hall to bring awareness to teen suicide. She like jumped on our thing and kind of helped her get reelected.
Right.
But you know, me and my boy both got jobs through it. Like he was her driver. I was working in her office. The girl that I dated at the time, this girl Tara, I won't say her last name, but she was working there as an administrative aide. Like we all got hooked up, you know. And like me and my boy got a security job for the summer, doing security for concerts down at the Half Shell through her. Like, you know what I mean? Like this. So I had tons of potential. Like I ruined that job. We went first night. I'll tell you real quick, funny story. We go to that job, it's a security job, right? We're doing security for this concert venue down in Boston where they throw the local concerts, Ziggy, Molly, and all that stuff. So we get the same shift. So we go together. I get in the car. My boy's like, oh, I stuffed a blunt. I'm like, yes, let's do it, right? So we smoke on the way to work, right? So we get there. Now I'm so thirsty. Like we got no drinks. And so we get in there, my boss tells us like where we gotta go stand. So I'm like on this end, he's like across from me, right? And we just gotta stand there and monitor, make sure no one's fighting, no one's doing anything stupid. I'm standing there hanging out, and it ends up like these two dudes that were from Southie, two older dudes, I didn't know them. And they like this, I guess they said I knew their sister or something like that. But they were like, you were on that show, Save Our Streets. It was like a local talk show that they were doing at the time that I was on, like doing the community activism stuff. And so I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, they got mad beers, they're drinking. It's like, it was a Beach Boys concert, I'll never forget it. And he goes, they were like, yo, you want a drink? And I'm like, no, I can't drink, bro, I'm working. I'm so thirsty though, like I want this drink. So they keep asking, but you know, they're drunk, they keep asking, you know what I mean? Like, so finally I'm like, look around, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, just grab me one and put it near yours. You know what I mean? I'll just sip it here and there, right? So they get me a drink, and I remember I was sipping it, and my boy comes over right at that time to ask me a question. And he's like, yo, give me a sip of that, I'm thirsty. He takes a sip. So our boss is spying on us. He's hiding like behind a tree watching us to see what we do. Right. So he don't say nothing right away. So then there's like, so my boy, like at the time, he was, like I say, he was like one of my brothers. Like, so he was a super funny kid, hilarious. Couldn't talk to girls. Like, he couldn't open the door. You got to open the door for him. But once you open it, he's good. Like, he makes them laugh. You know what I mean? He's good. So he'd always be like, yo, if he liked a girl, she was like, yo, go talk to those two chicks over there. Like, grab them, see what's up. I'm like, all right, dude, I got you. He's like, I'll walk in after. You know what I mean? All right. So like, there's these two older ladies, like the older chicks. You know what I mean? Like, at the time, I'm 19 years old, and so these they're like older, Beach Boys concert. And these ladies, like they're in like their 30s or whatever. They're dancing and stuff. So they come over. One of them says, oh, hey, are you allowed to dance while you're working? And I go, no, but I'm not allowed to drink either. I already did that. So, you know what I mean? So I start dancing with this lady. And I'm like, all right, cool. I set it up. And I tell my boy, like, yeah, all right, we're leaving with them after work. And then all of a sudden my boss comes and grabs us. Hey, come with me for a minute. We go in the office. He goes, yeah, I'm going to need those shirts. And tell Peggy don't ever send anyone to us again. Like, you guys are fired. Oh, shit. I was like, oh, my God. So next day we got to go to work and see Peggy. I'm like, oh, no. So we were in there, and like, she was tight. She wouldn't talk to me. I'm like, hey, I swear it was a mistake. It wasn't me. She wouldn't talk to me, man. But yeah, that was crazy. Like, just working there was nuts. So I had all that potential, right? And then I just, that dope, I just threw it away, man. I started getting high, didn't know about it, so then now I'm trapped. Once I know about, now I have to do it. You know, everyone just started getting high. No one knew about detox and all that stuff. There wasn't no recovery push.
So you started what? Thinking like, I need money, and now I have.
So now, so it was quick. Like, it was a pretty quick thing for me. Right. Like, at first, you know, like it's crazy. I snorted like dope for like 2 years before I ever went to like using a needle. But still, like, you know, I started off like doing like larcenies, cashing checks, or robbing drug dealers, or whatever you had to do. But then I seen, I can actually tell this story now. Statute of limitations is way over, and he's like my brother and your friend as well. So Sully, I seen him do it. Like, I go with him one time. He said, yo, come with me. But I don't do, I just stay outside and wait for him.
What, to rob a bank?
Yeah, he goes to rob a bank, right? So I'm like, he's like, I'm going to rob a bank downtown. You want to come? He's like, just hang outside. Boom, I'm like, all right, cool. So we go and we do it. And, you know, I see how he does the note and everything. Boom, boom. So he does it. We get away. Like, we jump on the train, slip off, we get out. So this is like, man, well over 15 years ago. So then Sully gets locked up, right? Probation ends up snatching him up, and then he gets caught up for like a string of bank robberies eventually, right?
Yeah.
And but during that time, so now September 11th, like the actual day the planes hit.
Yeah.
So I wake up, and I get up, and I like my mother's. I wake up to my mother screaming and flipping out. She's watching TV. I wake up, and I'm like looking at the TV, and I'm like, Mom, like relax, like what is wrong with you? I'm thinking she's watching a movie. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. She's like, this is really happening. This is New York. But Mom, I'm like, oh shit. So I sit up and I look at the TV and I'm watching. I'm like, damn. I had one. Now I go in the bathroom, I gotta get off E, right? So I go in the bathroom, I get high. And as I'm in there, I go, there's not gonna be a cop in downtown. I'm gonna go rob a bank today.
Yeah.
And I call my boy up, right? He's actually doing a life bid right now, my Uncle Brian. I call him up, he's like family to me. My uncle's married to his aunt. His sister rather, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I call him up like, oh, you wanna go make some money today? And he's like, yeah, what's up, what are we doing? I'm like, meet me over at my mother's. So he's like, all right, cool, so we hang out. So I start writing the note. And like I feel someone over my shoulder and I look up and my mother's looking at me. And she's like, you better be playing. And I'm like, nah, just get out. I'm only messing around. Like, I'm good. I'm not gonna do nothing.
Yeah. So
then I grab the note and stop. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here, Ma. Like, I'll be back later. She's like, I'm telling you, you better not do that. I'm like, relax. I go out, Ma comes over, he goes, what are we doing? I go, listen, I'm gonna go rob a bank in downtown. I just need you to hold a cab. I was using cabs in the beginning when I started doing it.
Yeah. So
what I would do is I'd have him grab a taxi at the corner, jump in, like, oh, my man just had to grab his keys from his girl at work. He'll be right there, blah, blah, blah. I go in, hit the note, grab the money, right? So on that day, September 11th, I remember I had to literally talk this girl down. Like, she started hyperventilating. She was like a young black girl. She'd probably never been robbed before, maybe just started working at the bank.
Yeah.
And I hit her with the note, and she reads it, and like, you know, she just starts like shaking and like hyper. And I'm like, listen, you gotta calm down and just do what that says. Just start giving me the money. Right. So boom, she started hitting me with the money. And I ended up walking out of that bank. It was crazy. Like, she was giving me money from like the bottom drawer. So I ended up walking out of there with a good like 12,500, something like that, 14,000, something like that. And I was hooked. Day one, like I was hooked. It was so easy. You know what I mean? Like, and then, so I started doing them more, and now I'm doing it every few days. Like, I'm just hitting them, you know what I mean? And because it got to the point, it wasn't even about and it was, the crazy thing is, like, when I would hit these banks, like it's funny, I heard someone who actually did your show not too long ago, and he had mentioned, and he said about how he felt like Robin Hood sometimes. Like, right, he was making all this money, but he's giving it to the kids in the projects, right, over in Charlestown.
Yeah.
And it clicked with me, because I'm like, yo, that's how I tell people all the time, like, that's how I felt. Like, I would take my little sister and be like, all right, pick a friend. And we go to the mall, and I'd buy them whole new wardrobes, everything they want. Yeah. And like, so when I was doing it with all their friends, so their parents in the projects are like, how's Billy getting all this money? Like that? And so I'm telling them I work for the union. I got this crazy union job, right? And then all of a sudden, they come out with the Mass Most Wanted. Yeah. They do 17 profiles that first time. Oh, no. My picture's up there. Oh, no. Everyone in the neighborhood talking about it. Everyone telling, you see Billy on the news? I'm like, nah. And I tell my mother, Ma, it's not me. He looks like me. Yes, it's not me. She's like, all right. You know what I mean? So,
how'd you find out you were on the news?
I got a call from my sister, because my mother watches the news every night. Yeah. She sees this Mass Most Wanted thing, watch it, sees my picture, starts screaming, says to my sister, I can't believe it. So my sister calls me like, no, my mother calls me and says, you're on the news for bank robbery. I can't believe you're robbing. And I go, Ma, it's not me on there. Please don't call me saying that. And I hung up on her. And then I call my sister and I go, what is Ma talking about? Yeah, and she goes, Billy, you got to watch the rerun of the news tonight. Yeah. And I go, is it that bad? And she goes, oh, it's bad. So I'm like, oh man. So like,
what'd they have you doing on the news?
So just for bank robbery. Yeah,
like it was just a picture?
Just a picture.
Have like a video?
No, they had bank surveillance videos that they would, you know what I mean, they would show. Yeah. But when they showed it on the news that night, they just showed 17 profiles, like 17 pictures. If anyone's seen these people, you know what I mean? All bank robbers, every one of us. Right. Yeah, so like my sister is bad. So I watched it later that night and was just like, oh my God. You know, but so now everyone in the neighborhood's talking about it, and it's so crazy. Like it was so bad to the point. I'm up in front of Southeast Savings Bank on Broadway. And I'm standing up there. My boy owed me some money at the time. He was like, come to the bank with me. I'm cashing my check. Give his money. All right, cool. I'm standing out front of the bank just waiting for him. Like, I'm not robbing a bank on Broadway. I grew up in this neighborhood. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. There's some dummies from this neighborhood that have done it, but I'm not doing it. And this dude from my project, older dude, sees me, he says hi to me, everything. He goes down and he tells my mother, I just seen Billy up on Broadway casing the bank. So I come home and my mother's like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're up on Broadway casing banks? I'm like, what? I'm like, wow, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So like, it was just bad. And then eventually people told on me. Like they told me like, when I finally got caught for the banks, they told me like, so many people had told on me, like it was ridiculous. You know what I mean? And same when I went to the, you know.
And were they co-defendants or witnesses behind the bank and shit like that?
No, just gave information to, that was me, there was me, put them on my trail, and you know what I mean? And they caught me, and I ended up doing, you know, 2 state sentences for bank robberies, and then went to the feds. Because in the last one, I was leaving the state with the money. So once you cross state lines with that money, it has to be federal.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that kind of forced their hand. You know, which was a good thing because they would have smoked my boots in the state. You know?
And when you're taking the money and bringing it to neighborhoods, people start to want, like, where is he getting all this money?
100%.
You know what I mean?
But I just shared the money. Like, I didn't care. Like, anyone could ask me for anything, and I gave it. I didn't care. It was easy come, easy go. I was only doing it to take care of, like, my issues. Like, you know what I mean? And I didn't, like, I was never... And no one can ever say this about me, no matter, even at my lowest when I was getting high. I didn't steal purses, I didn't break into houses, I didn't rob family, I didn't do none of that.
Me neither.
I had 2 places to go. The bank had the money or the drug dealer had the drug. They both went together,
bro.
and that's what I did. Like, I wasn't out hurting like just regular people. Like, it was anyone I ever hurt.
In the game, that's what
anyone I ever hurt, honestly, like they had it coming to them. I'll just do something bad to people.
It's fair play.
I've always been a good person. I've always wanted to help people, and you know what I mean? So
you end up in Wyatt. What year do you end up in Wyatt?
I went to Wyatt and I got arrested in January 9th, 2012. January 9th, 2012. They kicked in my door at the hotel. They came in like, it was the Violent Fugitive Task Force, like federal agents, state agents, and local agents. And you know, it was like 4:30 in the 3:30, 4 in the morning. I hear the cling of the moving cart. I was renting a suite in this hotel, the Comfort Inn, because they didn't bother you. They left you alone. And I've been renting it for like 3-4 days now. And I just said that night, like, we gotta get out of here. So I was with, you know, my now ex-wife at the time there. So I just said, like, we got to get out of here. I'm getting way too comfortable. And all of a sudden I hear that ding and I think, I'm like, and then I'm like, no, I'm just tripping. Like, I'm high. I'm getting, you know what I mean? I'm on the run. I know they're looking for me already. Like, they had already tipped their hands. And so I know they're on my trail. I'm getting high and I just didn't care. And I was like super suicidal at the time, if I'm being honest. Like, I knew where this was gonna end. Like,
rock
I
bottom,
was
would you say?
so definitely rock bottom. Like, I was so depressed that I knew where this was going, you know what I mean? And I knew if they caught me, I was going away for a long time. And I knew there was a chance that they might end up killing me and not taking me in. You know what I mean? It depended on how things went. So, like, the way they came in especially was, you know, like I said, so it's, you know, 3:30 morning, I hear that noise. So they went in the room and set up next door in the other room, doing surveillance and all that, whatever they were doing, you know, getting their tactical stuff ready, right? So, like, 4:35 in the morning, I just got high. And she was across from me. She's smoking weed. And I hear the click of the lock. And I'm like, oh, I look up. And then the door starts opening. And I'm like, I'm thinking I'm tweaking, right? And I'm like, and then all of a sudden I see it's a shield and then a pistol, a machine gun, and a machine gun. And I'm just like, oh. And so, like I said, I'm renting a suite. There was a hallway that went straight down. There's a window at the end of that hallway. I see the shield, the guns, you know, and in that split second, I think, grab the taser, make him shoot me. But I feel like she's gonna get hit too. I didn't want to do that to her little girl. boom, I got up and I ran down the hallway, straight down the hallway. There's a window at the end, like I said, and I dove for the window. I'm on the 5th floor. I'm at the top floor of the hotel, so like I really just didn't care whether I lived or died at that time, right? You know, luckily they chased me down the hallway, and one of the feds like open field tackled me. You know what I mean? They like hit my legs and knocked me sideways, and I like bounced off the wall just under the window. And they jumped on me and like, you know, started wrestling with me, trying to cuff me, and literally stomping on the backs of my legs, trying to break my knees because I was fighting with them to not let them cuff me. You know, I'm high and I've been up for days. And
so you get, what happens there? You get thrown in the back of the car, obviously, and taken off to a facility.
I go there, they take me, you know, that's when they take me to Wyatt. I stayed in Wyatt for probably like maybe 10 months, maybe a year.
I hear about Wyatt all the time, right? What does Wyatt look like inside?
So it's like a county jail, really, is what it looks like. It's just like a county jail. You know, you got the units, 2-man cells, the tables down in the day room. Right? You know, some units are dorm units and stuff, like, but, you know, and it's everyone, you know, everyone from you know, Rhode Island, Boston, Connecticut, a lot of Connecticut dudes there, you know, because they got that for the hold-in. They got like some guys go to Walpole for the federal hold-in sometimes.
Yeah, I see that on the other side in Orange.
Yeah, so like different, like Middleton has a federal block. They hold people over there. But like, so I was like, when they arrested me, when the feds got me, and like I admitted to everything that I did, right? So there was no like fight. They didn't have to like fight anything. Like their case was pretty much signed, sealed, delivered. Like, yep, you got me, I did it. Like I just wanted, like, honestly, at that point, I just wanted to rest. Like, just let me sleep. You know what I mean? But because, like, I didn't give them a hard time. Like, I just wanted to sleep. Like, when I came here, signed this was you, yep, me. I didn't fight nothing. So the feds were actually super cool, the guys that arrested me, right? So when I had asked them, like, hey, if you guys can, like, at the time I was married, like I said, and she had lived in Rhode Island. And Wyatt's in Rhode Island, so I'm like, hey, if you could, it'd be great if you get me in Wyatt. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to get stuck in Middleton. It's a horrible place to be.
Middleton, I've heard of it.
I did some like a little pre-sentence time there and like begged my probation to get me out. But yeah, so I go. So anyway, I go in. I'm in Wyatt. I'm there for like, you know, about a year, a little under, and I get sentenced, and I lucked out, honestly, like. You know, I had a great public attorney. She was young, she was hungry, she wanted to make a name for herself. Like she was great, and she like dug into all the community activism I had done. Like all that stuff's online. You can Google it and look it up. It'll pop up.
Those federal attorneys are a lot better than the.
They really are. They really are. It's like night and day. It's crazy. The whole system, like even coming home, like everything. It's just so crazy.
I've never had one, but I've just heard it many times.
Like so, I go and my lawyer is like. You know, she digs all this stuff up, which helps you, right? It builds up because they do what's called a pre-sentence investigation. You know, and they dig into everything. Like they some cases they're going to your schools, talking to your teachers. They want to know how you were as a kid. Like they dig into everything. And honestly, so I had to go and meet. So I got to go in and meet the lady too. They interview me as well. They come ask me about my life, talk to me about, you know. Like, so basically, I do what I'm doing now with them, and I tell my whole story. And I literally had the lady doing the PSI and my lawyer in tears, crying, like listening to my whole childhood, like the foster care thing and all that. They didn't find anything like crazy in my PSI, you know what I mean? Nothing, no type of sexual charges or any type of nonsense, stuff like that, you know? So I lucked out. It was like all the stars aligned. I got this great lawyer. I landed the judge, Joe Toro. He's dead now. God rest his soul. His nickname was Let Him Go Joe. You know what I mean? Like he just didn't like to give long sentences. He believed in second chances, redemption, all that stuff, right? Super old guy. It took him like an hour to get to the bench. And that's the other thing. Like, it was so my lawyer says to me, I'm gonna ask for 6.5 years. And you're gonna get 6.5 years. And I said, listen, I love the enthusiasm and the high hopes. I said, but realistically, that's not gonna happen. Like, there's no way they're just giving me 6.5 years. Like, I just had 2 statements for bank robberies, each bigger than the other. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So, like, I had said, like, I'll take 10 at my arraignment. And they're like, you gotta slow down. It's not how it works in the Fed court. Like, you gotta let me do my job, and there's things that have to happen. I'm like, all right, it's very slow, the Fed process. But, so I ended up they sentenced me. I remember it was so intimidating in that federal court. I've never been nervous in court in my life. You know what I mean? Never. And until I went to federal court. Like so I had no one there. No family was there with me. No friends were there with me. I had nobody there with me. So it's just me, my lawyer, the DA, and the judge, and it's so quiet. And the stand is so high, and you're way down. Like, it's just so intimidating.
Right.
And and you never know what's gonna happen. The judge don't have to go, like, don't have to go what the DA says or your lawyer says.
Right.
He can just jump up. You know what I mean? And so my lawyer asked for the 6.5. The DA asked for the max on my thing, because it goes by a point system.
Yeah.
On where you land. So they could have gave me 20 years. And so the DA asked for that, or 22 years, something like that. The DA asked for that, and my lawyer asked for under the bottom number, which is 6.5, and the judge like almost instantly stood up and just said, 120 months, 10 years.
There you go.
Which is what I asked for in the begining. You know what I mean? Like, and it was like, still, it's a decade. You know what I mean?
It's a long time.
Like, it's a long time. It's a decade.
It
you know
is
what I mean?
a long ass time.
Yeah. And then so boom, I go to Wyatt, do that, and then they ship me out finally, and they send me to Philly instead of New York. So like a lot of times you go to New York for like classification.
Yeah.
And you go to Brooklyn, stuff like that. So, but Philly's also a holdover. So I ended up in Philly. It had to do with the location they were sending me after, I guess. I found out after.
Yeah.
But so I ended up in Philadelphia. I walk in the door. The first thing I hear, the cop says, "Welcome to Philadelphia. Be careful who you talk to." Right? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
But the cops always have fucked up names for this shit.
Right. But then you get in the unit and you see it and you're like, whoa. Like, there's dudes that have been in there 7 years, 10 years, like fighting their kid. No, that don't happen. You're not in a holdover for 10 years.
Oh, shit.
They're jumping on case after case after case.
It's like the guys stuck in OU units in the state fed. Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? So, and dudes will tell you, like, even dudes on the unit tell you, like, I met a few solid dudes, don't get me wrong. There's solid guys everywhere you go, right? And I met some solid guys. Like, I met a lot of like the Philly mob guys. Like, I was on a unit with them. They looked out for me tough. They loved Boston guys. They all like gave me food and all that when I come on the block,
People love the Boston guys everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go. We have a good name everywhere we go. And that's like thanks to those guys back in the day, back in Walpole, they were getting shipped because they couldn't control them in the state and they were shipping them all to the feds. Like, when them guys went up there, we didn't have nothing up there, no tables, no nothing. Them guys went up there and were like hurting people up there and made a name for us and took tables. And so that's why we have tables now up there.
Did you ever meet any of those like real legendary figures from Massachusetts out there in the feds?
So I was with Freddy Geas, the guy who killed Whitey.
Okay.
That's my guy right there.
Heard about him.
I was in Hazelton with him. That was the first stop I went to, actually.
What was he like as a person? Like, just getting to know him, the guy that everybody thinks is such a bad guy.
Honestly.
This is mob hitman Freddy Geas when he was convicted for the 2003 killing of a Springfield mob boss. And this is his attorney.
Freddy, obviously, is no stranger to violence.
Geas was convicted largely on the testimony of gangsters turned prosecution witness who got lighter sentences, while Geas refused to play ball and got life.
He's one of the best guys like you'll ever meet, to be truthful. Super respectful, super funny, like loves to laugh, have a good time, you know what I mean? Like just a really, like, you would never, other than when you look in his eyes, you would never know he was a killer.
Right.
But when you look in his eyes, you know he has that look, like, this dude, he's a killer. You know what I mean?
There are chilling new details about the murder of Whitey Bulger. Sources telling CBS News the gangster was unrecognizable after the deadly beating. Let's get right to WBZ's Ken McLeod. Ken, a mob hitman is now suspected in Bulger's death.
A mob hitman from Massachusetts, Lisa, who, according to his attorney, hated anyone who ratted out comrades. Sources are telling CBS News that Bulger was beaten to a pulp, his eyes nearly gouged out.
But he was just super relaxed and chilled. Like, he just loved to have fun. And like, but he had been there for a while, so eventually he had the whole yard for all the white guys.
Right.
Which typically we don't do that. Boston we govern ourselves. No one else governs us. No one else puts their hands on a Boston guy like we'll deal with our own stuff. And we have like kind of our own politics. Right. You know what I mean?
So you think he just like kind of worked his way up due to having such a high amount of respect from the yard? Everybody in that prison, he just was able to.
Yeah, because him and his brother Ty had been to a couple different places and they had hurt a few people like right off the bat. You know what I mean? Got into some stuff.
Made a big name for them.
And made it known. And plus, like, all the New York mob guys knew about him, like, because he was doing things for the mob, allegedly.
Even on the streets, I guess.
Yeah, that's what, out in Springfield, that's what, So, and him and his brother were like serious dudes. They were legit, like, they were hitmen for the mob.
Yep.
You know? And
Freddy and Ty.
Yeah, Freddy and Ty. You know, Ty's got a serious name up there. He was like over on the West Coast, like crushing people, taking over yards and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
how long does something like that last before you get sent to the ADX?
I mean, it depends. It's tough. So it's not just that easy. It's hard to really get sent to the ADX, to be honest. Like, and you have to be like a really high profile person usually to go to ADX.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like typically, like for like regular guys, like that's like, and when you're violent and you get into a lot of stuff or whatever, and you have any type of name or carry any type of weight or run with people that do, you go to the SMOO program. Like once that's like for everyone, like the worst of the worst go there. You know, people that are just constantly getting into it on the yards or whatever. They send you all to the SMOO program. The SMOO program, to me, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, like I did 3 years in Hazelton. It was just crazy. Like my first week in there, I watched the Mexicans, they pull off a fake fight in the yard. Deuces go off, which is the alarm.
Yeah.
Cops run, go all the yard. As soon as they go run into the yard, they jump up. There's 4 of them at the table. Like we're playing cards, me, Freddy, this dude Rebel, who was from like Tennessee or something like that, but he ran with the Boston car. He did time in our state prison and stuff like that. You know, there was like dudes from other places that ran with us, like guys just, and they would say like, we just like to run with men that are men.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they were good dudes, so we'd pull them into the car, whatever, some dudes would pull them in, you know?
Oh yeah.
And they'd run with us. And so we're playing cards, and these dudes jump up, 3 of them jump up and just start stabbing this other Mexican. I guess he was a child molester or something.
Oh shit.
And you know, and they killed the dude right there. I was there, this was like my first or second week in there. And I'm like, okay.
Investigators now say Geas is one of 2 inmates who beat Whitey Bulger to death yesterday morning, less than 24 hours after the aging mobster was transferred to the Hazelton Federal Pen in West Virginia.
This is where I'm at, you know what I mean?
Was that like locked?
From that day on, I always had a knife. I always had access to a knife.
Right.
I'd sit in you go on lockdown a lot in Hazelton. Constantly stabbings, like, you know what I mean? There was a couple bodies while I was there. So you're always on lockdown. So you gotta be able to fish good if you want to get anything in that place.
And what kind of effect does that atmosphere have on you as a person?
It's insane. It's something you can't shake. Like there's things that you see in there, like you have to be in a different mode. You know what I mean? Like like when I was doing that sentence, and any sentence really, like I keep my head in prison. Like I don't think about out here because this isn't my world no more. And like what people don't understand, like people that never went through it or didn't grow up around people that went through it, like they think when you go to prison and stuff, like, oh, the government's taking care of you. You're getting free meals and a free place to sleep and this, that, and the other thing. But no, those 3 meals, like the food, like it's not like back in the day when the food was amazing. Overcrowding because you know, the DC dudes have no state prison, so anything in DC's federal, so they were all coming in, you know what I mean? And then you have all like the immigrants and stuff, all them in there, so now it's just flooded and overcrowded, so the food is horrible. So you can't live off that, especially when you're on lockdown all the time. You're getting boxed meals.
Yeah.
Right, for on dinner, you know how it is, right? So it's that's it. And if you don't have commissary, you're hit. You know what I mean? You can't live like that. So it's just difficult. So you can't, and you see things that, like I said, that are normal. Like when you see someone getting stabbed right across from you when you're eating breakfast first thing in the morning, and you don't miss a beat and just keep eating your cereal, like that's normal. Has that nothing to do with me?
No.
Like that's not normal.
But you know, let me ask you this, right? How did prison, what did it do to you as, like, to make it so it was hard to adjust? Did it make it hard for you to adjust?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. You see like these violent acts happen at all times and in different places. You know what I mean? So you get to the point like you don't like people behind you.
Right.
Because you've seen it many times. Somebody comes up behind, someone hits, someone keeps it moving.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, so like when I came, like for instance, when I first came home, I remember getting on the bus the first time I got on a bus, and it was so packed. And like I started hyperventilating, and like I had a panic attack. I had never had a panic attack in my life.
Right.
I had like a panic attack, and I snapped, and I yelled at the bus driver, "Stop this bus right now!" And we were like in the middle like of a red light, and he's like, "There's no bus." And I said, "Buddy, you gotta open this door, or there's gonna be an issue." And he just popped the door, and I got off, and I started breathing, and I walked. I was like, I was coming from South Station. I had come in from Rhode Island. I was coming from South Station. I had to come into Southie, and I just walked from South Station to Southie. I was like, I'm not. And from then on, like I never got on the trains, the buses. Like it took me a while to be able to do that. And even still, I don't like it. I'll do it if I have to. I can do it.
Right.
But I don't like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I won't get on an elevator if there's too many people. Like I can't. I don't like it. It's super uncomfortable. And it's like, you know, and then things like the way you, just like little mannerisms too, right? Like the way you eat. like you're God in your food, like it's, you know what I mean? And it's like
wicked fast.
And you're flying, eating like, and like what the heck? I mean, like breathe, you know what I mean? Like,
have you ever done a lot of time in solitary confinement?
Yeah, so I did 9 months in the SMOO program, which is solitary confinement. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's, you get a cellie there, but you're locked down in a cage, 2 men, and then at rec in a cage, like a dog kennel with 6 guys, which is just a little spot to work out.
Right.
That's where you get 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday, no rec on Saturday, Sunday.
And that's what they call it in the feds, the SMOO program?
That's the SMOO program, yep.
And what did you end up in there for?
So eventually, so I had gotten caught. I went to the hole a few times for having knives, getting caught with knives on me. You know, in my cell, I had kind of a name on the yard. You know what I mean? Like, people respected me, you know what I mean? They knew I carried myself well. I messed with everyone. I didn't care what state you were from, what color you were from. Like, I messed with everyone, and I made it clear, this is me. Like, this is it. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Like, I don't care. You know, so like every unit, there's a head white guy on a unit. So the dude that had my unit that I was in D2, he was from Missouri. Frank, he was leaving, so he wanted to step down from it, and he grabbed me and was like, "Listen, we were talking with the guys, and like they all think you should take that spot. You know what I mean? You got a good head on your shoulders. You're not gonna crash us out, and you talk to everyone, so you can mediate with things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm, you know, I had that unit, you know, and like I said, Freddy had the yard. You know what I mean? Like, I had a name and a reputation. I ended up going to the hole for a knife, and I didn't think they were gonna let me back. I thought for sure I was going to the SMOO program this time. And the cop that locked me up thought it for sure too.
Yeah.
He actually came down and apologized to me for he was like, "Listen, brother, it's no hard feelings." Like, he was worried if I came out, I was gonna retaliate because then I was like, "Buddy, you did your job. I did my job. You were better at your job. I got caught." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Cool." And he was like, "Yeah, you got to be out of here this time." I'm like, "Definitely. There's no way they let me out." And like a week later, like, "Pack your stuff. You're going out." I was like, "Get out of here."
Yeah.
So they kicked me back, but they sent me to a different unit. They sent me to D1, and they put me in a cell with this dude from California, Richie Rich. He was a Nazi lowrider.
Yeah.
Good dude, man.
Yeah.
He was a good dude. That was my guy. So we ended up going to the SMOO program together. It's because, so we're in there, he was making moves in there, had stuff, you know, coming in and out.
Yeah.
One day, like out of nowhere, they call us they just rush our cell. Boom, they hit our cell. We're not even in the cell, we're outside. We see them rush to the cell. So we're like, damn, Richie's like, "Dude, should we try to slip out?" Like, yeah, and I'm like, "Well, where are we going? Like, there's cops everywhere." And so they snatch us up, they lock us up, they put us in the hole with cellies in the hole. They don't tell us why we're there on the investigation. So finally, we get our shots and stuff. They get our write-ups. So, and they put us in to go to the SMOO program.
Yeah.
And what it was is they wrote us up. They said that I was using he was using his influence with the gang members on the yard to call shots and make things happen. And they believed he was like doing, you know, responsible for a couple of hits. And they said I was using my influence on the yard against like the non-gang members, you know what I mean, or just all the other white guys and like the Boston guys and stuff, right? I was using my influence to get people knocked off and get people stuff like that. And then like, you know, history of knives, this, that, like everything that, you know, that I was doing. And I knew I was going, like the SMOO program, because you go through a hearing to get accepted first to see if you really deserve to go there. Like they're pretty thorough with that, but most times, like if you go to, you're going, you know what I mean? I'll be here. Very few really ever beat that hearing. And he actually had been out of trouble for so long because he was trying to get to a lower level prison because he had been in for like 20 years already or something like that. So he had like super low points, like FCI points, was doing good. Like our case manager's like, "There's leverage, no way you're going to the SMOO. Coleman, you're out of here, sorry, buddy." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." They sent us both to the SMOO. They jerked them all around, right? So we go to the SMOO together, and when you get to the SMOO program, like now, before they didn't care, like they would just mix you with whoever. Put like, you got beef with this dude, they'll throw you in the cell with him.
Okay, that's crazy.
It's nuts. They put you under pressure in there.
Like that,
The cops are so dirty. They just like to see it and then run in there and be able to bundle you up. Like they're like the worst cops work over there. Like they put us over there. Now when we had got there at this time, typically whoever you came in, because we were in the hole together at Hazelton and got like locked up together, they put us in a cell together.
Right.
So now he's a Nazi lowrider, right? I'm from Boston. So now our rec cage is him, another Nazi lowrider, like two dudes like, you know, trying to become Nazi lowriders. And then me, and then a dude from Colorado who was like another gang member, but ran with them too.
Yeah.
And then me. So I'm like, I'm like, damn. Like I mess with all these dudes, like they're cool, but if like the Boston dudes get into it with these dudes somewhere else, I'm in trouble.
Right.
And I'm in that cage by myself.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And that's just how it goes. Like you dudes get into it in another prison, it carries over, and then they send word, and all of a sudden you're getting hit. You don't even know something happened over here yet. You know what I mean?
Prison's a small world. You always end up running into your smoke.
Super small world.
Yo, if you got beef, right, you will run into them.
One day you're it's inevitable.
I'm always the guy that runs into my smoke. I never get that the luxury of just avoiding them by accident.
Right,
or whatever, you know what I mean?
It's
always like, hey,
it's inevitable because you said it's such a small world, man.
But yo, bro, I feel like we might run into a little time lapse real quick, so we're gonna have to get a part 2, bro. But I feel like your story is so deep, man, and so dope, bro. And you got a great way of telling it. We're gonna do a part 2, maybe part 3. We'll get in the studio this week again. We'll finish this off. What do you think?
Absolutely, I'm down.
All right, brother, man. I appreciate you for telling your story, man, and going through everything that we've gone through just to get this podcast on the ground, man, and just gone all over the city, bro. Beautiful sights, beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
And this video was just really good, and I look forward to doing more content with you, man. And anybody watching this, please hit the like button, please subscribe, become a member for $2.99. You could support something great. And share these videos, man. Let people see what it's like over here in Massachusetts, here in South Boston, and our prison system and the federal system and how our car runs and shit like that. But just great insight into human nature in general. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
We could really help a lot of people out if we do this the right way. I appreciate everybody for watching. And like I said, man, W number. Ow!